We're on, but we're not. Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Check here.
I'm going to call this regular meeting of the Delaware Tribal Council to order at 5:37 and ask Secretary Annette Ketchum to lead us in a moment of prayer.
Shall we stand? We thank you, Lord Jesus, for joining us here this evening as we meet for the business of the Tribal Council. Father, I pray that your special blessing on each councilman tonight, especially our Chief Brooks as he conducts this meeting. And Father, that we might remember that your mercy and grace is what sustains us. We don't deserve it, and yet you put it on us freely. Lord, let us be mindful that without you we can do nothing, but with you all things are possible. Be with us, and also those who aren't here tonight, especially those who are facing illness, grief in some manner, and those who aren't even in the country right now because they're serving our nation as warriors in other lands. God, I just pray for many of our people who are in really bad, destitute situations, some of their own making, some as consequences of bad health. We just ask all of these things in Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated.
Roll call.
Chief Chester Brooks.
Here.
Assistant Chief Bonnie Jo Griffith. Here. Secretary Annette Ketchum. Here. Treasurer Benita Shea.
Here.
Member Nikki Michael. Absent. Member Nathan Young.
Here.
And Member Michelle Hawley.
Here.
Thank you.
I'd like to welcome all of our guests and council members here tonight. And we've got an announcement that a lot of us here have already heard. As of yesterday, our tribe is now A-Day certified. And in celebration of that fact, I think we should all give about, well, it's more than a dozen individuals, starting off with Tim Hausberg, that did a lot of work. David McCullough, our attorney, who spent many, many hours and 2 trips to D.C. Also, Chief Lewis even in the county, and all of these tribal council members that have been supportive. Let's give everybody a big hand. Can I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
Make the motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No abstentions. We've got two sets of minutes. The minutes of the December the 8th special tribal council meeting. Do I hear any additions or corrections to the minutes for December the 8th?
Just one change on the second paragraph. It says a motion to was made. The word to needs to be deleted. Motion was made. Read a motion was made to them. I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes for December 8th, 2015, with that one minor change.
Second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve December 8th minutes with the one typographical error correction. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
I abstain.
Should I abstain since I wasn't here then? Okay, I abstain as well. Sorry. So that's 4 yes.
Yes, let the record show that the minutes are approved as corrected, 4 yes and 2 abstaining. In addition, the minutes for last Tuesday's minutes, December the 5th, or I'm sorry, January the 5th. It is a new year, isn't it? And Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Do I hear any additions or corrections to the January the 5th meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the January the 5th minutes. Does anybody have any corrections? If not, all in favor of approval of the January the 5th minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay, no.
I abstain. I was not present at that meeting.
Let the record show that the vote is 5 yes, 1 abstention for approval of the January the 5th minutes. Under unfinished business, I don't know how many people have read the newspaper, but on November the 8th, on a Sunday, our council met and did about 6 hours of strategic planning. We've got it on the agenda for tonight, basically to discuss implementing that planning. I know down at the bottom of it, there's 5 areas that we were all in consensus on. And we need to think about which council members are gonna concentrate on each specific area. And we will, not necessarily tonight, need to assign tribal employees to help us implement that strategic planning. I don't know if anybody out there in the audience has read the strategic plan. We're also interested, and it doesn't have to be tonight, but we're very interested in getting your opinions on our implementation of that plan. Nancy?
Are we gonna be able to get, as a tribal member, are we gonna be able to get, the form, the paperwork on the implement, what you're trying to implement and everything, so I can go over it myself or my sister, so I know what you're talking about, I don't know what you're talking about.
If we, for that reason, put it in the Delaware Indian News, that's in the process of being mailed out
Oh, okay.
right now.
Yeah. All right.
It's actually about 8 pages, but we would appreciate tribal members studying it and getting your opinions.
Chief, I have a question.
Sure.
Do we have copies of the strategic plan out here for our members to review currently, since we're discussing this? Since nobody has received the DIN, since it hasn't been mailed out yet?
No, but there's copies of the DIN in the courier.
There are,
Copies of the DIN.
Well, thank you for the photo.
yeah.
I can pass mine if you'd like the EIS.
I'm sorry, Hannah, I couldn't hear you.
She said she
I
would
can
pass
pass
them
out
out.
some EIS.
Great, thank you. Does any council member have any suggestion about implementing this planning?
Like I mentioned, Chief, I'd like to be on number 5. And I think you did too.
The 5th item in the conclusions of it was economic development. And that is my main interest for the Delaware tribe. I'm not saying at all that those other 4 items are
I'm
not
gonna say
super
we had
important.
5 top that we came out with,
Yeah.
and the 5 are, can you name them off, please?
I have it here.
Anna, can you please bring me a copy so that I have it in front of me also?
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me.
No, we didn't have it in our packet.
I have a copy of it here with the
Thank you.
chief's permission.
Go ahead.
The first is community and social services for the Delaware tribe.
Right?
The second
Okay,
was,
Excuse me, what page you on? Oh, on the.
I don't know.
Hold on, he has a different copy. Give me a second and I
He's
will.
reading off the paper, right?
Right.
Yeah, let's find the page.
We'll tell you here in just a second.
It's all trying to loop three.
They start at the bottom right-hand column of page 4. It says, moving forward with conviction, and then about one paragraph below that,
Got it.
it starts with community services. Number 2, concerns grants. Number 3 says establish and adopt best practice models to build a more cohesive tribal council. While Robert's Rule of Order are already adopted to the management of the tribal council meetings, additional review of how decisions are carried out and supported by all members of the council has indicated that implementation of decisions is not automatic. Number 4 is cultural preservation. And last on the list is economic development. Are there tribal members out there in the audience that have particular interest or concerns with any of those 5 items of consensus? Nancy?
Number 4, the preservation and revitalization of the language. I'd like to see that implemented more strongly, because basically we have nothing toward that. We come in here and we do crafts, we talk, dance, we do this, we do that, but as far as language goes and other stuff, we need to implement a more stronger basis for the program. That's the only concern I have on that one. The rest of it,
Nancy, are you aware that we have language classes is twice a month? Yeah, we do. Jim he has been offering them for at least a year, and we have about maybe 5 or 6 people, and the most we've ever had is 9. So,
our kids allowed,
I
I'm talking about little kids, ones that were retained.
well, they need to have bring their parents.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, no kids allowed unless the parents with them, that's for sure. Oh, no, I did not know that, but,
Yeah, well, I didn't think you did.
yeah. All right, thank you.
How about council members? Does any council member want to volunteer to head up specific conclusions?
I like number 5.
I have Bonnie and Chet for economic development.
It's one of those things that to me, you've gotta have economic development in order to get these other things. We've gotta have that foothold
Right.
in order to really go after the other in the manner that we want to. I know we've got some, we've got some cultural preservation, but I agree we do not have enough. And it's not like, the language classes, you weren't even aware of those. I think we do offer some things, but we're not actually maybe getting it out there and pushing it in the manner that we need to. I would really like for us to be able to hire a grant writer. I just think that there's so many grants out there that could be, that are sitting there, and we just don't have the resources right now to actually go after it and be really diligent with any opportunities that may be in front of us. And I just think that, it would behoove us to expend the money to hire someone to just, that's what they do. They go out there, they look for them and grab what we are interested in.
Are you interested in getting that?
Well, I don't know that I can edit. I mean, I think that maybe we could possibly take it as the personnel committee and maybe put that out there, as far as
Are you referring to grant writing, or are you referring to cultural preservation? Which?
grant writing.
No, referring to grant writing.
Yeah.
Okay, because I wanted to clarify that we do have a grant writer, Jim Rementer, who has been working with our tribe for 25 plus years and has gone unpaid this entire time. So if we're looking at doing something like that, I would like to see that we look at funding a salary for Jim Rementer so that he would be able to go after more funding for our cultural preservation and language and
Is
further
that,
that
was that
program.
in his purpose, is that what he's been
Absolutely.
doing, is that for
Yes.
the cultural
I think
preservation?
we need grant.
Language, it is the
Everything.
language revitalization. Well, this is two different things.
Yeah, we're talking about two
We're
different
talking,
things.
Yeah.
about two different
different
apples and
things.
oranges here.
Well, one of the things we might consider possibly is all this money that we're going to make through economic development is getting a budget made and how to allocate it to the priorities.
Absolutely,
Right.
I mean, that's
absolutely.
probably step one. If we don't ever get a budget, and we start getting money, but we don't know how soon the money will come in.
Right.
Yeah, I
So-
completely agree with that, Annette.
Yeah, but it's still at the same time, we should keep these maybe on the front of some sticky place on the front of our mind.
I would just like for this council and the tribe to make sure that we recognize the people that are already in place, that have been working for our tribe, without pay, and out of the passion of their heart for our tribe and our language and our culture.
Because I think we do have a lot of devoted members that have given their
Absolutely,
time
we
and
do.
effort, and we haven't been able to recognize them for what they've done for us.
Yeah, so I'd like to, under that number 5, I'm not saying that I want to head this number, I'm sorry, not number 5, number 4 for cultural preservation, but I do ask whomever does take the lead in this area that we do work to recognize these people and involve them. On the topic of what you were asking, Chief Brooks, under community and social services, I would like to volunteer to head that group up. I have been working over the past year closely with Cherokee Nation on devising and revitalizing programs that we had previously, and working with Cherokee Nation and revitalizing our services, our programs, and I would like to continue to move forward with that and explore potential other services that we can provide for our members.
I'll step up for the culture and language. I guess we need to all step up for the cohesive, right? See,
But somebody's gonna
Yeah.
have to head it, so.
So there's 7 of us, and there's 5 areas of focus here. I would also like to volunteer my services for area number 2, my expertise and services under the heading of grants.
Right.
Yes.
So Michelle, I'd like to work with you on that.
On the grant.
On the grant part, yeah.
Who would?
I would, Michelle and I.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I'm such a slow rider.
I'm taking it now too, Chief. Sorry.
You just asked to be on, grant.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's big. So I've been on the grant steering committee, so we've had a little bit of tracking that with Nate and Jean and Alan and I, gotten some headway there. So I would like to carry that on. And I'm also very interested in the economic development. I know I had asked to actually go to that one conference, and about economic development, and I think that's gonna be our basic foothold in this whole endeavor that we have in front of us, so, yeah, I'm very interested in that one as well. So if you could add me to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
On number 3, that's really something that our whole council needs to work on, as has been mentioned. And I'm actually gonna go take a course on promoting teamwork in a couple of weeks. It's just a day-long thing. So I'll volunteer to try to get us all together.
That's awesome.
I think that would be appropriate, Chief.
Is that at Tri-County or?
No, it's in Tulsa. But it's just a one-day thing.
So when you and Nate work on that one?
That'd be fine.
Would you volunteer to help on that?
Uh, Is this like the Army? I volunteer.
Great.
I think you're being drafted into
On
it.
Yeah.
number 3, you're volunteering for number 3 or for the, take the course in teamwork?
Number 3.
Okay.
Chet is volunteering too.
Chet's already got signed up for the course.
When is the course, Chief?
It's the 20th of this month.
Is that?
Wednesday,
It's on-
It's
Wednesday, okay, all right.
So, yeah, next Wednesday. It's also right before the trust board meeting, so we had to set the trust board meeting back an hour or hour and a half, 4 o'clock till 5:30 to give me time to get back here.
That's good, I'm glad to hear that.
You tribal members, this is not something that we're trying to hide or anything. Jim Remender's already been mentioned, and I agree with that, but if tribal members want to try to help in a specific area, stand up and we'll put you to work, or you can put us to work. Because we want to have a long-range plan that gets us somewhere.
Chief Brooks, I think it would be appropriate if we would make a request to our tribal members, if they are wanting to assist in any of the 5 areas, that they contact the tribal council and whomever is heading the group to offer their services or involvement. I would ask our members, if local or nationwide, if they would want to be involved, please do so and please contact us.
Do I hear any further discussion on the strategic planning?
I just have a quick question. When would we, is there a deadline on that? If a tribal member wants to get involved in something or has an idea? Is there a deadline on that when, to notify you?
I don't believe so. I wouldn't think that there's a deadline. This is going to be an ongoing project of our strategic planning to move our tribe forward. So I think it would be an ongoing project and an ongoing working group essentially.
Is that something that, I'm very interested in education in the tribe and linking the two. Is that something that council would be interested in if I came up with an idea?
Absolutely.
You know, as far as, well, and I have one other question, if I may have a moment. I'm on the Oklahoma Advisory Council on Indian Education, and on our website, through the State Department of Education, they have all of the tribal seals, and our seal, the Delaware seal, is not on there. And I would like, with the permission of council, to be able to put our seal on there with the other tribes, the other 39 or 38 tribes from the state of Oklahoma. And also, I would ask if it would be okay with the council for me to develop some lesson plans relating to Delaware history to put on that website for the State Department of Education, so that all teachers across the state of Oklahoma could utilize that information.
I don't have a problem
I
with
think
that at
that's a
all.
wonderful idea.
I'd make that in the form of a motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you. I appreciate
Can you
it.
please provide your name and
I'm
your...
Jana Roth.
Jana
Jana
Roth.
Roth.
I'm
Very nice to meet you,
Wants to
Jana.
work here.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I thought you looked
And I'm
familiar.
the director of Indian Ed
Yeah.
in Sapulpa, and I, like I said, I sit on the Oklahoma Council on Indian Education. I'm an OC member of Oklahoma Council. I'm also, I have a master's degree in education, so I've been a teacher for over 20 years. So I'm really interested in putting together some things that we could put on our website and also share with teachers across the state regarding our tribal history.
Wonderful.
So-
I think that would probably fall under the guidelines of both possible service development as well as the cultural preservation aspect. So, yes,
Would be great. Okay.
Thank you
so
very
much. I
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Jana.
Could you hold it just a minute, Jana? I want to ask a question. You're asking for the seal to be put where?
On the State Department, Oklahoma State Department of Education,
Just a minute, please.
and it's under Indian Education. You go to that part of the website.
B.
Indian Education.
And you also want to do the lesson plans for that same site?
Yes.
Okay.
And I wanted to use our website, the history that's on our website, to develop some worksheets and different lesson plans that teachers could use with that information. And I'd also love to just come and maybe interview different people in the tribe and try to put something together. I know I talked to Anita in Cultural to see if maybe I could take some pictures and we could do some things with object-based learning or some different ideas for lesson plans with the materials that we have here on site.
And you said that you've taught how many years? Over 20,
Over 23, I think.
Over 20, okay, 23. And
And I have
you're
a
the
master's degree in
department-
education.
You're the director of Indian Ed in Sapulpa.
Yes, ma'am.
The motion's been made and seconded to do or allow you to do all of that, including the seal. Do I hear any discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Or abstentions? Let the record show that
one issue, Jana.
Jana Roth's proposal are very much approved unanimously.
Janet, you need to probably get the seal from the manager, or maybe he could be emailed to you, or.
You can pull it off Facebook.
Okay,
Right.
okay,
And
you can
that's-
just
I
pull
just
it.
wanted to
You
make
know
sure
how to
that we
do
had
that,
it
okay.
formally approved, because I'll need to submit that to the State Department when I have my next meeting. And I'll submit that it was in the minutes, that it was approved by.
I will email you the minutes so you can present those, in case they want to know that was passed.
Yes, they like it all verified with the
Exactly.
tribe itself.
If that's okay with the tribal council.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But it's
Sure.
it's on the website, and it's on Facebook, so she can pull it off.
She can get it pulled up, but the minutes,
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you,
Thank
Janet.
you.
I didn't recognize it, so she got to do it. That's the one.
she is Gina's sister. Gina Rollins.
Just didn't recognize her first.
Do you know how to get them minutes?
She gave me a card.
Yeah, she's had this in the works with, she talked to Nikki and me, and I corresponded with her, told her to put it in writing, but she came in person instead. And she's had this going for a couple, but I think since November, October, when she was up here last.
Do I hear additional unfinished business?
Yes.
The action log.
I guess I'll hold mine until after the action log is written. Actually, it'll be covered under here.
Annette, could you do us the courtesy of going down the action log?
Yes, sir, I'd be glad to.
And if it's okay, we'll just take, if the council member has got anything to report on each item, we'll
Okay.
do it right then.
The first item would be to utilize the University of Kansas to amend our tribal constitution. And on the last action was January the 4th, the tribal council met, or this was the last discussion, and we met on the 5th, and we were going to discuss this on the 5th, however, we did not, to my knowledge, discuss it, so the chief is checking into generalities of other constitutions. So,
In that regard, I just picked 4 tribes out of a hat that I considered or know were very successful. Those 4 tribes were the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, the Chickasaw Nation, the Osage Nation, and pick one out of Florida, the Seminole tribe, because I know that they've been very successful. I read all of each of their constitutions. Surprisingly enough, the Seminoles of Florida have almost the same cookie cutter, as we called it, constitution that we do. Probably because, yeah,
Yeah.
the other 3 differ from the Seminoles in that they've all 3 got an executive branch of government headed up by the chief or chief and assistant chief, or governor and assistant governor in the case of the Chickasaws. That's the main difference from ours.
Can they have veto power? Is that part of it?
Yes, they all three have veto power. Of course, all three of them's veto power can be overridden by either a 2/3 or 3/4 vote of their council. The Osages actually have 13 people on their council. Another difference is they've all got basically the same grounds for removal of council members as we do now, except all three of them, and that's one difference that the Seminoles have. They've actually got a recall provision in all four of them's constitution. Two of them, in order to just recall of an official from office, it takes an initiative petition signed by 25% of their registered adult voting membership. I think another one is, I think the Cherokees it's only 15% of their registered adult voting membership. In other words, they separate recall from just removal because of conviction of a felony or a misdemeanor that involves dishonesty. Two of them do say that you have to have grounds for recall, but the grounds are kind of left indefinite. I went through this because we've been talking about the need for a new constitution. And I know a lot of people, or I assume that a lot of people would just like to say, well, we need a brand new one. The trouble I see with a brand new one is it's liable to take us 3 or 4 years to get such done. This is just my personal opinion. I think our Constitution needs 4 or 5 amendments. But I think we could do 4 or 5 amendments. I know I've got 5 things that I'd like to see amended. I believe you can vote on, or our adult voting membership can vote on amendments, say 5 amendments at once, and each amendment stands on its own. In other words, if the people are not for an amendment that's being proposed, they don't vote for it. If they are for it, they do vote for it. It's got to pass by 2/3 anyway. I think that'll get that kind of process will get us an amended constitution a lot quicker than we will try to, well, let's say, reinvent the wheel and write a whole brand new one. Now that's just my opinion.
So
And
what if-
I'd like to hear every council member's opinion.
So what have the other tribes done? Have they amended or have they proposed a brand new?
I don't really know. I know that the Osages,
From what no, I'm sorry, Chief.
Yeah.
From what I have seen, the majority that have a fully functioning capacity, fully functioning with the capacity with the 3 branches have essentially written a complete new constitution. I also have some updates to provide on this topic. There was a conference call that was held Friday, I'm sorry, was that Thursday? Thursday, myself and Counselor Michael, and 2 of our judges were on the conference call also with Native Nations Institute. This was a conference call on our recorded conference line, so it is available for all the council members to review. It was roughly an hour long, so it's not very lengthy. And our judges have the access to be able to listen to the information and process it themselves also. But there were a number of resources that were provided. There's follow-up emails that we received also. Charles, would you please come up and provide more elaboration on the discussion?
I think Nate, weren't you on that?
Oh, it's not. He was not. I named, no,
No.
it's not. I named who was, and Jim Gray was on the.
I think Michelle has pretty well covered everything. I don't have my notes from the meeting, but like you said, the conference call is available online. If y'all need the access, then either Dana or I can provide that to you, or anyone else that wants to listen to it. I think, is there any reason they couldn't listen to it, Tom? But we did discuss what Native Nations Institute could do for us. I didn't really understand the tie between Native Nations and Harvard, other than there are some Harvard employees and graduates that I guess they founded and worked for Native Nations.
That is my understanding. The board members for the Native Nations Institute are, they chair committees with the Harvard
Right.
project also.
There is
So
some
they
tie
work
there.
hand in hand. They're a sister organization. There were a number of the resources that were named, training modules that are available for council members or whomever is assigned as we move forward once a constitutional revision committee is assigned.
Right, they have a number of online courses that are available. There's
Yes.
a charge for those. I think was it $75 initial charge? And
It
then
was,
additional
and groups
people like
larger than
65,
5, I believe, 5 and larger were $60 per person.
60 or 60.
Should they also named a number of funding sources that can provide the funding that we would need to address this through NCAI, through BIA, through ANA. So there's a number of funding resources that we've been provided, and it would be a good idea to explore this avenue
I think,
and moving forward.
now that we'll get into my personal opinion, is we have approached KU, they've provided us with this information. I think we need to review that and see where we're at with that before we go ahead. Because I think they've made some good suggestions. I think there's a lot of things that they've got that they really didn't understand the tribe enough to really give us a full version of it, so we need to make some changes to it. But there are some things that they mentioned that were very good suggestions. There were, if you look at their document, toward the end of their commentary on how they came to their conclusion, you'll notice that they had provided or asked us for input into that. And it seems that some of the input they got from different people varied. So in those situations, they didn't comment on what their suggestion was because it was kind of across what they felt like we were asking for. So those need to be studied a little bit more too. But I think we need to take that into consideration. And they spent a lot of time working on this and did a good job. They did a review of a number of constitutions. They looked at many of them that you looked at, Chet, Osages, the Cherokees, they named a couple of others that they referred to that they pulled information from. So they were coming down the same line that I think you all are headed down to. But
So how do we propose getting us in a room and actually looking at those
Has to be open
reviews?
meeting.
Or, you know, do we do an open meeting and just read through it, or?
Why couldn't we schedule a town hall meeting forum to have the council members present, to have our tribal members present, our judges, trust board, have an all-inclusive meeting and everybody provide their input, brainstorm?
to have a town hall meeting effective, I think you're going to have something prepared and ready to present to them and let them give you feedback on what you've come up with. I don't think you can just open it up and say, hey, this is just a topic we're going to discuss.
Yeah, and I agree with that, Charles, but we do already have the document that the KU students have provided, so that could be a starting point. We have our current constitution, we have the KU's revisions. That could be a starting point, could it not?
I think we still need to refine it some before we're actually ready for a
Before we
town hall
open it
meeting.
up for
Yeah, and
mass discussion.
present this, get this information out to the public, through the webpage, however we can.
I think we need to put the KU document on the webpage. I mean,
Yeah.
we've got 10,000 plus people, not just the ones that'll show up in Bartlesville,
Yeah,
that
there
we
were-
need to consider.
I agree.
There are some
I agree
things
with
on
that.
the KU that we probably don't want to go with,
Right.
because there's some things we need to change and make it, and in some places, they like to call this Delaware Nation, so definitely
Yeah.
don't want to do that.
So maybe we take a first stab at it and pull out.
Yeah,
I would
I
like
think
to
you need to
see-
take a first stab at it, get it the way some of the ideas that we think we want, then present it to the people, and let them make their comments and tear it apart or make suggestions.
I think each council member needs to take that KU document and go through it and piece it together, what they feel is right, and then
Well, we put a deadline on it.
that's what, we have to have a deadline.
Yeah, let's put a deadline on it, make
And
sure
then
that we all.
Get them
you know,
all into Dana or Annette or something to go through and say,
Collect
okay,
their
these,
thoughts.
yeah, and see where collectively we are on all the changes.
One of the things, we were talking Native Nations Institute, we talked about timing on that. They were just on the same boat that you're in. They were saying it's taken 3 to 4 years
Yeah,
to get something like that going.
Yeah,
So I
I
don't
think-
think we've got to start from base one. I think we've got a good base to start with. The thing that, from what I've understood, the main thing that caused the discussion about the Constitution was when we were talking about the Idaho Delaware and the Kansas Delaware. We realized that if they were to become a part of our tribe, that our Constitution would have to be changed to match that.
Right,
Because
right.
our Constitution specifically states what it takes to be a Delaware citizen.
Charles, so it is your opinion that because of the time and the effort that was free from these students, we should first look at that before we start spending time and money on them?
I think we should.
I do too.
And look at amendments to what we've got. I mean, there may be sections of it that are virtually rewritten as an amendment, but still, use it as a base. We've got something to go with. Why start with scratch?
Right.
Well,
Chief? Well, I apologize.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, one of the things that the Kansas did not discuss, KU students, was the Idaho and the Kansas Delaware.
And that was
And
never presented to them
There has
as,
to be a process that's discussed in there, not the.
Yeah, and they didn't do that, that's what I'm saying.
Address
that was never
specifically.
presented to them as something we were
You-
looking at.
Right,
didn't ask
they
them.
weren't asked to do
Right,
it,
no
yeah.
one sent that in, I guess, as a suggestion.
No.
The other thing I wanted to ask was, Chet, I guess. Chet, in some of these five civilized tribes, or some of these very large tribes, did they, at one time, as I recall, about 5 years ago, the Cherokees, they're under some kind of a rule that every 20 years they have to update their constitution. They had constitution reform several years ago, and it was because they have to do that.
Well, that may be, although I didn't actually read that anywhere in their constitution.
I see, it's not in there then.
Now, I'm not saying that it's not there, I may have just missed it.
Well, don't you remember they had this very large constitution reform about the time that Stacy Leeds was running for office, that's what I remember just from my memory. Does that ring a bell with you?
It
I'm
was
very
like-
familiar with their constitutional convention.
That's right.
I wasn't familiar with this every 20
I thought it was
years.
every 20 years they,
And I'm not disputing.
okay.
Yeah, I'm just not familiar with that. I know that the issue whether their current constitution is valid or not is before the U.S. District Court in the Friedman case.
Yeah, it's, they haven't finished the process. And it took, seems like they were in at least 2 or 3 years, they were worked on that, didn't they? As I recall, that's pretty realistic. It takes a while to do if you're doing complete reform. So I think maybe, I'm saying all that to say, I think maybe Chief is correct that amending our Constitution in the short run is probably, if we're gonna do anything in the near future.
Right.
You know, we amended years ago the general counsel rule that you had to have 100. You know, that was by amendment. And
That's
so
one of the
there,
things we want to change is to lower that number. I mean, that's one of the
just
things
do
I
away
want to
with
change.
it.
I don't know about the rest of y'all.
I want to raise the number.
I want to lower it.
But I think we have an obligation to these young students who work for free
Yeah.
and put a lot of time in. Another issue that really does bother me more than a lot of things is we have never shown these young children, and I'll call them children,
Appreciation.
Right.
any thank you, not a certificate. We haven't taken them out to lunch. We haven't even sent them a letter I'm aware of saying, thank you for, wouldn't it be nice if each and every one of them had something?
We've done verbal thank yous, but that, we can go a lot further
Yeah,
than
we
that.
need to do something
Yeah.
in writing.
We need to do something. I mean,
What do we, first of all, I guess I don't know how many students did work on it. I was gonna say, why don't we take them out to dinner and give them a certificate a week after next when we're up there anyway?
Actually, I think the instructor and 2 other students are the ones that really worked on the Constitution. There were 4 or 5 of them initially involved in some of the things that they did for us.
Can you find out who they are?
Yes, I've got that list.
Okay, because we could do that.
if you could just get hold of Miss Cronk, is that her name?
Mm-hmm.
If we can,
Judge Croft.
if we can get a hold of her, it would be nice when we're up there, the 24th?
20,
We'll go up on the 24th on Sunday, yes.
Yeah.
The meeting is at
If
9
we could,
o'clock.
Meet with them.
meet with them and
She was here incidentally during our last general council meeting. Not the last one previous to that when everyone was sworn in. She came down with Cammy.
The
Oh,
seven-
she did.
seven-
In 2014. Okay.
Oh, okay.
but I would like to,
Yeah, we can.
I agree, we do need to
we
make
need to
some
show them something.
acknowledgement and appreciation of their work.
I think that'd be good.
Okay.
we'll try to do it, that's a week from next Sunday
Right,
is when we're going up there.
yeah. the
And
24th.
an interesting thing is, like all schools, they go first, second, third year. She's gonna have another group come along.
I know.
And if we show our thank you and our gratitude, that maybe we could get this new group and say, hey, these are the problems we see, what do you suggest?
Yeah, I know these 2 students that really worked on this, they finally, or finished their semester. I hope they're still there.
Okay. But you can find that out for us.
Yeah.
It was just a couple of students who worked on it.
Well, there are 2 students that were the primary as far as working on the Constitution.
Just You said, oh, there was 5 or something?
4 or 5.
Okay. We just need to know
I've
who
got
they
those
are.
notes.
Dana can make
Yeah.
up some certificates and.
Yeah, you have that email list, Charles, I believe we all do, but
For McDonald's.
While we're talking about Constitution, there's one thing I'd like to probably caution, and
In the drawing.
shouldn't we keep the DIA informed as what we're doing? I'd hate to put ourselves in jeopardy again on a recognition. And if we're going in and if for some reason we did increase our population based on this, that could have an effect on the DIA, how they look at us. So
In
I
other
think we
words,
should-
if you're saying whatever we do,
Whatever we do.
we don't want any flack down the line.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, no matter how we word a constitution, a constitution even, or an amended one for that matter,
Be good if we had their blessing.
it's gonna have to be subject to approval by the Secretary of the Interior.
And if they're kept in line with what we're doing, I mean, they're gonna be more acceptable to it too.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Thanks, Charles.
Thank you, Charles. I have a question. So we discussed reviewing the proposal from the KU students, and we had discussed the deadline. When are we making this deadline for the council members to submit our suggestions?
I can have mine ready by next week,
How about the end of the month?
but possibly we wanna wait like 2 or 3 weeks. Since we're gonna go to Kansas and talk to
How about,
these students.
I would be ready to be prepared to present mine by next week's meeting on the 18th.
19.
19.
19th. Almost close.
I'm just ready.
I'll be ready.
I can be ready.
January 19th.
Yep, yep.
Sounds good to me.
And they will be submitted to Dana or Annette.
I would recommend that we, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I think that we should distribute, each of us should distribute to the others,
Okay.
each and every one of us,
Okay.
their ideas. And of course,
Copy Dana.
Miss
on-
Dana would get a copy of everything.
Okay.
I usually like to copy Miss Dana and Mr. Barnes.
Okay. Sale of lands?
Seems like there was something I wanted
Are we
to say,
done
but I
on
can't.
Well, in other words, everybody make your suggestions
By next Tuesday.
by next Tuesday, submit it to Dana, and she'll get them out to all the rest of each of them, to all the rest.
Well,
We're
let's
going to copy
say,
everybody in a group email, is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
Right, that's-
but let's make it Monday, the 18th, so that'll give us an opportunity
Look at them.
To review.
to review. Mrs. Young takes my computer a lot, and,
Can you believe he's calling you out?
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see her back there. I didn't see her back there.
Yeah, you did it. Nancy's got her.
Nancy,
I got a question. Listening to Charles talk, and I've heard him mention twice, adding to the tribe. To me, that means Idaho and Kansas, Delaware's. And are you guys going to amend the Constitution to go ahead and bring them in? Or since we've already said no anyway, if you amend the Constitution, that means our word isn't going to be no good either as a tribe.
It would
Yes.
take 2/3 vote of the people
To
to bring
okay
them
that.
in. And we
But
have an
we done
issue.
said no.
Yeah.
We've said no 3 times. How many times you guys gonna keep bringing it up?
Nancy,
I brought it.
it's never been proposed to our people to vote on by referendum, which it would have to be.
That was only a possibility. I mean, that's not.
Well, I don't care for the possibility of something that we done said no to 3 times. It doesn't make sense to me. I would rather have a different example because that upsets me. And I
Well-
have to keep my mouth shut to talk right. I don't know, I guess I'm burnt with Obama about the Constitution and executive orders. And I don't trust anybody in government. I don't even trust you guys.
We know. I'm saying that in a good part.
I take it that way. I can laugh at that. But I feel like I'm really getting paranoid about all government workings that sliding stuff in on us that we don't know till it's passed. That's all I'm concerned about. That's
We're here tonight in an open meeting so that people will have actual knowledge of what we're doing. And I don't know how we could slip it by you unless we did it by resolution in an open meeting. And you would have the opportunity, plus
I don't
there are
trust you at all.
tremendous legal issues
I don't
involved.
trust you at all. You're a lawyer.
And I don't trust you at all. And so, but there is a lot of
Well,
issues.
that's why I keep coming to the meetings to make sure there's nothing slid by that I don't know about. And I hate it when I get sick and I can't make it to the meetings, because then I can't keep up with what's going on. That's why I keep asking so many questions. I'm trying to catch up. That's all this is about.
Nancy, what you just touched on is why I would rather see us amend our Constitution in 5 ways.
Yeah, I've been.
And because if the people don't like something, or one amendment, maybe they'll like all the rest of it. In short, if we were trying to help the Idaho Delawares out, or the Kansas Delawares, and we wrote a brand new Constitution with that in it, it might not, it probably wouldn't pass. So why, you know?
I guess this is up to Alan. The sale of the vans, purchasing batteries, and posting an ad on Facebook.
It's there.
It's already on the Facebook.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you had any bids out?
I've got one bid in, and of course, my contact information is on the Facebook and also the Delaware Tribe website.
Did we put a cutoff date?
And then there is a cutoff date for January the 22nd.
Okay,
And you are taking bids, or just?
it's gonna go to the highest bidder.
Highest offer.
Okay.
And my number's there to contact me for additional details.
And how many have you had?
One.
Oh, you said one?
On both vans, or,
Yep, one on both things.
okay,
One was a retail bid, or, and the other was wholesale for the older vans.